Hey there, folks. Today, we're diving into a real-life mystery that's as shocking as it is heartbreaking. It's all about a young guy named Trevone Hayse Miller, just 20 years old, from Sherwood. But what he did will send chills down your spine. So, picture this: there's this girl named Brayla Stone, only 17, and she's transgender. Now, Brayla's story takes a tragic turn when she ends up being murdered by her own boyfriend, Travon. Why? Well, it turns out they were in a secret relationship, and Travon wanted to keep it hidden. But here's the thing, Brayla's not the only one. Transgender folks like her often face really scary risks, like violence and discrimination. And sometimes that fear turns into reality. Now, Brayla's case got a lot of attention, especially from folks fighting for LGBT rights. It happened during a time when there were way too many similar tragedies. It's like a wake-up call, reminding us that we still have a long way to go to make sure everyone feels safe and respected. If you want to dig deeper into what really happened to Brayla Stone, check out the video on the True Crime channel linked below. Trust me, it's a story you won't forget. First, let us learn about the girl in our story today. Brayla Stone, born Brayla Stone, a 17-year-old girl raised in North Little Rock, Arkansas, was one of the brightest colors in the Sherwood suburbs. Those close to her knew she was a cheerful, outgoing teenager with big dreams. She spent a lot of time engaging positively on social media, especially on Instagram, where she attracted an audience with her excellent sense of humor. Despite facing negative reactions from some community members due to being transgender, this did not diminish Brayla's pride in herself. She did not hesitate to stand up against anyone who spoke or acted negatively towards her or her lifestyle. Instead, she embraced herself confidently and strongly, letting nothing hinder her path. Brayla enjoyed expressing her femininity both online and in real life. This was not only about how she dressed or wore makeup, but also about how she behaved and interacted with others. She knew that confidence did not come from holding an image others desired, but from how one accepts and loves oneself. Life was not always smooth and easy, but Brayla remained steadfast in her belief and her dreams. She believed that one day the stage lights would shine on her, and she would stand under those lights proudly showing the world who she was. Brayla was a strong and wonderful girl, and we use the pronoun she to refer to Brayla as an acknowledgement and respect for her. In 2020, Brayla began an intimate relationship with a teenager named Trevone Hayse Miller. At that time, Trevone was working at a local Arby's and was just 18 years old. However, Trevone was not someone with a good track record. He had been involved in a murder case at the age of 14 and had ties to a criminal gang. In April 2016, Trevone, along with two older teenagers, planned to rob another teenager named Brian Thompson, a 17-year-old marijuana dealer. The trio lured Brian to the parking lot of a local entertainment center with a promise to buy from him. Travon carried a BB gun in his pocket, while one of his companions had a real handgun. As Brian was making the transaction, the oldest teen suddenly exited the passenger seat of the car and shot Brian in the neck, then stole $15 from him. Following the shooting, the group fled the scene. In the tragic death of Brian, we can see the cruelty and guilt in Travon and his group's actions. It is evident that Travon is not a good person, he is a criminal. This raises the question of why Brayla would date someone like Travon. It is possible that Brayla was unaware of Travon's criminal past, or there may be other unknown factors in their relationship. People have their preferences, interests, and choices, and sometimes relationships are not based on conventional standards. However, the attraction of some young women to boys with a bad past is not a universal rule. Each woman has her own choices and criteria in seeking a partner. Some may be drawn by empathy or hope for a person's change and improvement, while others may seek stability and safety. The police found about a pound of marijuana in the car and arrested all three individuals within a day. Less than 24 hours after the shooting, all three were caught after being recorded on a security camera near the crime scene. Travon was eventually charged with aggravated robbery in a juvenile court. Initially, he faced a murder charge, but Travon agreed to cooperate with investigators and testify against his accomplice, helping to reduce his charges. Although Travon was never required to testify because his friends admitted their guilt, he was prepared to reveal text messages in court showing that he was the mastermind behind the robbery plan. Despite being the youngest in the group, originally, Travon wanted the robbery to take place in an old abandoned house they had previously used as a hideout. However, the only consequence for Travon was a short time. In a juvenile detention center, his two older accomplices were charged and sentenced, and they remain in custody to this day. In 2019, Trevone was arrested again for robbery and second-degree impersonation of a criminal. This time, he impersonated a security guard at a Walmart store and attempted to rob two customers in the parking lot. Only a few months later, he was arrested again on another weapon-related charge. Unfortunately, these opportunities for redemption did not lead him onto a better path. Instead, they led to a tragedy that resulted in the premature loss of a young victim. In 2020, the relationship between Trevone and Brea lasted for some time. It was, of course, sexual. Brea, although strong and confident in herself, still faced discrimination and harassment due to being transgender. She understood that not everyone could be open and accepting of themselves as she was. Therefore, when she got to know Trevone, she agreed to keep their relationship confidential and committed to keeping it secret. Trevone, though aware of Brea's transgender identity, was not comfortable or willing to make their relationship public. He feared societal reactions and the consequences that revealing their relationship could bring. Instead of sharing his worries and burdens with Brea, he chose to exploit her empathy to protect himself. The consensus between the two gradually fell apart when Brea discovered that Trevone was maintaining another relationship with a different woman. This betrayal made her uncomfortable and angry, and she decided to threaten to expose their relationship. However, Trevone did not hesitate to deal with this by inviting Brea to his house and proposing a deal to buy her silence with money. Trevone's fear drove him to toxic and negative thoughts. Instead of facing societal reactions and accepting his responsibilities, he chose to eliminate Brea from his life to avoid disclosing the truth about their relationship. Trevone told the 19-year-old woman with whom he was having an affair that he was considering eliminating Brea to keep their relationship secret. However, this woman did not take Trevone's threats seriously, thinking he only said such things when agitated. She tried to calm him down and hope that everything would resolve itself. Not long after this phone call ended, Brea arrived at Trevone's house, an event confirmed by a friend who was talking to her on the phone as she waited for Trevone to open the door. After meeting with Trevone for about 5 hours, Brea texted that friend stating she did not support this and that they had been arguing for hours. Unfortunately, this would be one of the last times anyone ever heard from Brea. The morning after, on June 25th, a passerby called the police to report a body seen inside a park in the North Little Rock suburb of Sherwood. Brea was found deceased inside a black Saturn Vue along a gravel path near 7224 Vista Point Court in view of Gap Creek Drive. She had been reported missing by the North Little Rock police just before her body was found. When the police arrived, they discovered 17-year-old Brea in an abandoned car along the gravel path, having been shot fatally in the head. Brea was found with a gunshot wound through the head, her body positioned upside down on the front passenger floor with her legs on the back of the seat. The driver's side window was shattered. According to police reports, there were signs of blood inside the car and a strong smell of bleach. Investigators also noticed discoloration from cleaning agents on some of the car's interior. The news of Brea's tragic death spread across media outlets. Notably, her family requested that all articles and segments about Brea's story refer to her using the pronouns he and the name given to her at birth, despite the preferences she clearly expressed in the years before her death. It's evident that Brea and her family were not on the same page, and they did not support her true identity, even in her absence. This is truly a heartbreaking tragedy. Even in her obituary, an old image of Brea before her transition was used. This evokes a deep sense of disappointment and regret. Instead of honoring and respecting her true self, her family chose to present images of a past that Brea had overcome and sought to change. This reflects the negative aspects of a society still reluctant to accept and respect individual diversity and identity. It highlights a sense of injustice and pain as a person who, with all their efforts and courage to become the best version of themselves, is still undermined and overlooked. It's not just Brea's death that is mourned, but also the sorrow for a society still rife with prejudice and discrimination. Following Brea's death, before any arrests were made, an unidentified Instagram user with the handle Tap and Season commented under a tribute post about Brea, claiming they had killed her for $5,000. The situation escalated quickly when an individual claimed on their personal page to have committed murder, even posting a photo with a $100 bill as alleged proof. Within 24 hours, negative attention flooded in. Eventually, the user confessed that they were actually just a 15-year-old seeking attention, making up the entire story. This immature act not only displayed irresponsibility, but also deepened the reprehensibility of the situation. The repercussions of falsely claiming to have committed murder were severe. It caused confusion and grief for the family and friends of the fictional victim, as well as instilling disappointment and fear within the community. People began to speculate about the presence of a potential danger in their midst, amplifying the sense of insecurity and frustration. Despite the lack of legal consequences for the underage perpetrator, the impact of their actions lingered. As the perpetrator matures, it is hoped that they will comprehend the seriousness of their behavior and learn from this experience. The aspiration is for them to grow into responsible adults who understand the importance of integrity and respect for others. Meanwhile, in another case, it took a week for the police to apprehend someone named Trevone. According to the arrest report, Trevone became a person of interest after a friend of the victim reported their association on the evening of the incident. Additionally, Trevone's workplace manager alerted authorities after receiving cryptic messages indicating guilt and absence. Trevone was eventually detained and faced charges related to the murder of a person named Brea. The prosecutor asserted that Brea was killed to prevent the revelation of a secret relationship between her and Trevone, who feared the implications on his public image. Trevone pleaded guilty, securing a reduced sentence through a plea deal. Interestingly, similarities between this case and a past murder in the same area emerged, implicating Trevone further. Trevone's sentencing reflects the severity of his actions, with a substantial prison term and additional years for firearm enhancement. The case also highlighted broader issues concerning violence against transgender individuals, prompting calls for action and awareness from activists and organizations. Local communities responded to the tragedy with vigils and petitions, emphasizing the need for justice and protection for transgender individuals facing violence and discrimination. The story of Brea's untimely death serves as a poignant reminder of the challenges faced by marginalized communities and the ongoing struggle for equality and acceptance.